All right, well, we are back for part 2 of our interview with Luke and Sybilla Ingwersen. And if you haven't already, listen to part 1, do yourself a favour and stop right now and go back and listen to that episode. It'll be well worth your time.
Yeah, in this part, Tim, we go into marriage world. What it's like, the dynamic with two first response emergency care people in the same household, some of the pros of that and some of the cons as well.
Yeah, and as we get towards the end of the podcast today, you are going to hear some pretty impactful stories as they share about some raw and very challenging moments that they've had on the job. Ben, I don't know about you, but it was pretty heavy at some points.
Yeah, and a career that spans for Luke 24 years and even 6 years as a Firey. There'd be numerous situations that maybe, that could be impactful, but they go into some specifics, some things that really stand out to them and significant to them. And it was just good to hear a moment in their lives and their role and what they do and what it must be like. So for me, I think you're going to really enjoy this second part.
Yeah, so let's get right into it.
And that's so shift work. I know there's a bunch of police, ambulance, fireys, nurses especially, all these services, we need people to work at night. You've got to give respect to the people that are doing it because they're missing out on family dinners, they're missing out on night sporting games and events because we need them to work. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing it.
You got to be on when we're off, pretty much, and that's what it's even like for you, right? The people at the beach, they're chilling and they're there. It's the weekend.
Some holidays where it's down tools and everyone's having a ball. It's a perfect day.
Yeah.
There might be two of us in a vehicle, absolutely scanning hundreds of people. Someone walks past and goes, "Geez, you got it easy, mate."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like I'm scared that someone's going to drown right here. It's like I'm too scared to blink because there's so much to watch. And to the person, the untrained eye, you're just like, "Man, you got it easy." Like, man, you got no idea.
So speaking of being both kind of first responders, because I'm sure that's not often the case. Usually, one person in a relationship might have that role, and so let's dig into that a bit. Like, what would you say? Obviously, that we benefit when you have a couple like you on and we're on holiday, having you guys around. But what are the pros and cons of it? If there are any cons of being married, of having to. Yeah.
The big pro for us is being able to talk about it. So I can talk about any facet of my day and know that he's in the mental capacity to handle it. So if I've had a really bad day, I don't feel like I'm exposing him to something that he hasn't really lived through himself. I think a lot of people who don't have a partner in that role, they're really conscious of not sort of exposing them to it because they didn't sign up for that job, you did. So, and a lot of people are not, they're just not equipped to deal with those sort of scenarios. So it's really lovely that I can come home and just go and just unload if I need to, and vice versa. So that's really good. It's also, again, like we were talking about, the physical aspect, we love training together. So, we can do that together. We can swim together. We can run together. We can do whatever we want to because we have similar interests and know that they benefit our job at the same time. So there are a couple of pros. A couple of cons to it is I worry about him. I really worry about him.
Sybilla went through a stage where she wouldn't visit me at work that often, but a few times she would, and I'd say, "Just a minute, I've been watching these two people, I just got to go rescue them." And I'd just call for backup, get down, and there was one time in particular, there were two ladies and they got caught in a rip and then they split, which is the worst situation because I'm heading out by myself and you've got to pick which one. I was able to get them both and my backup came in the lifeguards from either side really quickly and were able to help me. But poor Sybilla was seeing her husband out there potentially at risk I knew I was fine, and she was like, oh, I don't like this.
Well,
so then she went through a stage of not visiting me.
Yeah.
See it.
Well, only because I'm absolutely confident in his skills, and that's not a problem. It's more just things can happen. You know, patients will grab onto him or something like that, and some scenarios can't be helped. The hard part about it for me is standing there knowing that I can help, but it's not my job to do so either. So I've just got to stand there and sort of just let it play out. But you know, obviously, if I ever thought he was getting really stuck, I'd run out there. But like he said, the boys that come from the other, you know, the other towers and things like that, they're there straight away. They've got that team mentality where they all really look after each other. So it's really good. So, but yeah, it's confronting to watch sometimes when it's your partner. It's a bit different when it's you, but when it's your partner, you're like, you know, you want to protect him. The other con, I suppose, is we don't see each other every day. You know, like when I've got night shift, there's a few days where we don't see each other at all. If I go away on deployment or things like that, I don't see him. So, you know, there's my job when I was working for the bank, I was working 6 hours, 7 days. So I saw him even less, even though I got to see him every night. He only ever saw me when I was tired, stressed or hungry. So at least one of the benefits of this job is that I do get days off during the week because he gets every Friday and every second Thursday off, where we actually do get to see each other, where we went before. But then at the same time, there are a few days where I don't get to see him at all. So
and no week's the same, because my days off might not line up with Sybilla's for a few weeks in a row, and then we have a few days together. So some weeks are good, some you don't see each other, but you make the most of it when you can see each other.
Yeah.
Like Thursday when we did the triathlon.
Yeah.
Took us 3 days to recover.
Well, we might do it tomorrow as well. So we haven't discussed it.
Good one.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, definitely something to consider in this space. Emergency help it's not a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday very often.
No.
And if it works for you, it works. And you can both consider each other as well, and you understand. So that's something that people can consider as well if they're interested in these sort of careers.
Yeah.
Now, Sybilla, I'd really like to ask you about what are the challenges working in the fire service, maybe for you? What's been hardest for you in your role?
Oh, I don't know. Hardest for me, to be honest, shift work's pretty hard. So you do 2 10-hour days and then 14-hour nights. So I do, and I commute to and from Brisbane. So I live here on the Gold Coast, but I work in Brisbane. So it's an hour and a half each way. So that's a 3-hour round trip, you know, every day. So I suppose those two things have been really difficult for me. But the actual role itself, I don't know.
I think not enough respect's given to, she just says, shift work. And you go, shift work, eh?
Yeah.
For us who just work during daylight hours, that's like, oh, yeah, it's cool. I work 8 to 5, sun's always up, we're always there. When we're going to bed at night, she's still waiting for a phone call at or the alarms to happen at the fire station. So the hours that we're resting and our body's used to, nighttime we're sleeping, daytime we're working, and she's working through those 2 nights that we're resting. So she does her 2 days, then straight after that she does her 2 night shifts, then she has her 4 days off. So she'll come off the first night shift, come home, rest, go about a day, head back to Brisbane for a second night shift, and they might not get any calls, but they're still on standby.
Right.
Or at 2 o'clock in the morning, bang, you've got to go from nothing to 100% ready to go in about 20 seconds. Uniform on, driving the truck out to help save someone. And you got to respect the recovery time that your body needs to go from resting to working at any moment's notice, and it could happen a bunch of times throughout the night. I had to change my alarm on my iPhone because I need an alarm to get up in the morning, otherwise I'd sleep till about lunchtime. So it was kind of an alarm that's a rah, rah, rah. But the poor Sybilla, that would, to her, send her, oh shit, that sounds like the alarm's at work.
Yeah, gotta go.
So for her, any alarms first thing in the morning, her auto response is, I've got to get up and go. So it's not fair to have that on her days off, because rest is so important.
Wow.
I've got a friend who's he's a helicopter rescue crewman, and they actually do rest hours, and they calculated that if you've worked a certain amount of hours, you can't work for the next certain amount of hours because your rest time must accrue so that you can be physically and mentally ready for your job. And that's so shift work. I know there's a bunch of police, ambulance, fireys, nurses especially, all these services. We need people to work at night. You've got to give respect to the people that are doing it, because they're missing out on family dinners, they're missing out on night sporting games and events because we need them to work. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing it.
You got to be on when we're off, pretty much, and that's what it's even like for you, right? That people are at the beach, they're chilling, and they're just the weekend.
Some holidays
it's
where it's down tools and everyone's having a ball. It's a perfect day.
Yeah,
there might be two of us in a vehicle, absolutely scanning hundreds of people. Someone walks past and goes, "Geez, you got it easy, mate."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like, I'm scared that someone's going to drown right here. It's like, I'm too scared to blink because there's so much to watch. And to the person, the untrained eye, you're just like, "Man, you got it easy." And you're like, "Man, you got no idea."
It's more than what happens in the water,
more than what you can see. Yeah.
Look, this probably shows my ignorance, and I'm loved that you've, in this sense, dispelled, this myth. But for me, thinking a female in the fire service, I'm sure that's got to be difficult and challenging. But as you've talked and as you shared, like, the importance of the soft skills, the importance of your dedication to the physical fitness, and even as you see that there's a place for even this petite kind of girl that can kind of go into a tight spot and do what they do. I think it's good to know that there's there's so much opportunity for people like yourselves in these critical roles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's I'm very, very passionate about the fact that as a firefighter, you've got to be diverse. You've got to come from different backgrounds, because problem solving, you look at every scenario differently, and we've all had that life experience leading up to this moment that makes us look at this scenario in a different way. And so for me, I'm really I think it's very, very important that we reflect the community. So the community, we're all different, we're all individuals, and we all have different strengths, and we need those represented in the fire service so that we can do our job well. And it's not always, necessarily one type of person that's the best firefighter. I think it's a whole different array of people.
The big 6'6", big strong man.
Yeah.
Lift half a car himself, but I don't think the role is necessarily about that. Someone who might have extra strength in that, someone else might have better problem-solving skills. Both our industries are predominantly male-dominated just because of where we've come from years ago. But they don't need to be.
No.
A lifeguard doesn't have to be a brown-skinned man who loves surfing and doing that. We've got some great female lifeguards, and they do a great job as the female firefighters. It's tough, I think, for Sybilla to move into a male-dominated role, because some of these guys have been in the job for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're used to just being the blokes. And now there's a female there. And because she's married to me, she's heard all the jokes before, and she knows what's what. But you still do have to change. And it's hard for everyone to be expected to just change their mentality if they've been dealing with something for 30 years. But that's what we have to work on, because all these industries are equal to men and women. It's fair for both of them to work in it.
Absolutely. And it's also just little things like even just having someone from a different culture, like with language barriers and things like that. Like if in an emergency situation, you want information fast, you know, and it's not, so someone who speaks another language or something like that, they can be really strong skills that, we really, really want. It's sort of, like I say, that diverse, and it's not necessarily just that one mob fits every incident. It's a whole bunch of people that all come together. And I suppose that's, with Luke during the summer months, he's got 2 people there or 3 people there managing that scene. But I'm very, very lucky. I've got 4 on the truck with me everywhere we go. So we've got 4 heads that are always looking at every incident going, right, okay, what's the best way to tackle it? So whereas Luke, in the winter months, for a good majority of the day, it's just him. It's just him just going, right, and with his local knowledge of being at, where he works in Main Beach for years and years and years, is a real asset to that tower, because he's been there for so long and can read that beach like the back of his hand. It's the same as with the Fireys I work with. A lot of them live in that community, so they know where they're going. They know how to, we know where the hydrants are. We know where, that sort of local knowledge is really, really important. So
and you talking about the team, I'd imagine that's a sort of role where you have a strong sense of camaraderie.
Absolutely.
And community.
Oh, absolutely. So we, I really don't think the fire service is not like any other job from the point of view of we go everywhere together. We do everything together. If someone needs lunch, we go out and we all get lunch together because we need to respond together. So it is like another family.
A lot of time you spend together too.
Lots of time we spend together with different personalities. And
it's important to have that cohesion and respect and you know that, hey, this person's got my back. If something goes bad in here, this one's got to pull me out of the burning building or something. So it's like you've got to get on great and you've got to respect and trust each other.
That's it. And it's interesting from the point of view of you might not have similar interests or whatever else, but every incident you go to, he's got my back or she's got my back, and you can go in with that absolute respect for each other, knowing that we can do this together. And it's just it's really, really interesting from what people do in their day-to-day lives, that those 4 people have come together and we're going to spend 10 hours a day, 14 hours a night together responding to emergency, high energy, adrenaline pumping sort of scenarios, and hopefully do it well.
And has there been a time when that sense of bond and camaraderie has really paid off, helped you?
Yeah, I think most days on shift I laugh. There's always something. We say to each other before we leave for work every day is, I love you, have fun and be safe. And we say that to each other every day because...
We've got that in our other wedding rings.
Yes, it's in our wedding rings. We've got these Quail rings that we wear.
Wow. Be safe.
Love you and have fun.
That's just our thing, because we know that both of us are going to a job where some bad things might happen. And it's just a cute little thing to remind us we're going out to do our job, but we want to come home and be safe and have fun.
And have fun. So we want to have fun with our team members, because at the end of the day, we're all bringing in this balance of our lives and what was going on, and they've got the kids and they've got all these different things that they're bringing to work, and everyone says, you don't bring it to work, but it's very, very hard to separate that when you're spending so much time together. So I know all their wives' names, I know all their kids, I know what's going on, every facet of their life, because you talk, that's just a lot of the time, that's how we're passing the time. And I think it's very important to know what's going on in someone's life from the point of view of if I can help them have a better day because of it, like if I, can make a joke with them or get them in the gym and sort of work it out and all that sort of stuff. It's we're very much like a family, are there for each other. So it's really important, I think, to have that in your job for me. Yeah.
So Luke, 24 years on the beach. I can imagine there'd be a countless number of experiences that, we'd all love to hear, but what's been the more impactful experiences for you personally?
So much time in the job, you're going to see a wide range of things. I said before, about I've been working 5 years, and I was 23 and I did resus on a 23-year-old guy from India, and he drowned, and that was pretty upsetting. It was my first resus.
You were 5 years into it.
I was 5 years into it. So I'd been in the job for a while and I hadn't done a resus yet. But if you're in a job for a while, like a paramedic or a Firey or a Lifeguard, there's a chance that you're gonna deal with that. And then a few years ago, I was working at Narrowneck. I think it was about the 3rd of January. We had a big swell. It was a busy day. some swimmers got washed out of the flags, so we got on the loudspeaker and told them to come back, and most of the people did, but one guy went out a little bit further to catch another wave, and so he got caught in the rip, and I was working with another guy. I sent him out on the rescue board to bring him back in, and then I couldn't see the swimmer anymore, but the board paddler was heading out further and further, and my boss had just been passed, so I radioed him up. I said, yeah, this doesn't look good. I'm going to paddle out. And we never send 2 rescuers out for 1 patient. I said, I need you to come back and help us. It's big surf, this is challenging. So I paddled out as well. And we got this guy about 200 or 300 metres out to sea. And we were holding him on a board. He was in a bad way anyway. And then like a big set of waves, maybe a 6-foot set of waves came. And we were hanging on to him. We needed to hang on to him. And I said to my partner, Chris, I said, we got to hang on to this guy. We can't lose him. And but this wave broke right on top of us and just absolutely flattened us. We both lost both our rescue boards all the way into the beach. I was able to keep my position, but Chris got washed halfway to the beach, and we lost this patient. And lucky when my boss came back, he'd called for backup from a jet ski, and so then when this patient floated to the surface again, I was able to grab him, and the jet ski arrived pretty quickly, and I was able to get him on the jet ski and get him into the beach, and we could start CPR. And I feel we did everything we could to help this guy. The surf was really bad that day. This guy was going out past where he should, and his family was on the beach, and his cousin was there, and I remember his name was Robbie, and I always remember his cousin was going, breathe, Robbie, please, breathe, come on, be all right. And we were doing everything we could to help him, and we couldn't help him. And so that really hurt. But his family thanked us and said, we know that you told him to come in, and he chose to go out again and get another wave, and that's what cost him. So you do hang on to all those major incidents like that, and it it's, you're not human if it doesn't affect you, but you look at them and you go, did I do everything we could? Could I go back and change anything and make it better? So I think we did everything we could. The surf was dangerous. The guy chose to do that. So, it's reality of the job.
What about something on the lighter side, something that's made you feel,
Bit better.
proud?
Yeah. Just recently, the surf's been up. We've had a few incidents in the surf. A guy dislocated his shoulder the other day. Someone else we had to put on oxygen who got dumped. But there was a girl got dumped on the water's edge. I was watching her. She was surfing with a boyfriend, and she got dumped and crawled in and then flopped onto the beach. And it just didn't look right. So I went down and I said, is everything all right? What's happening? And she was crying. She's like, my ribs, I really hurt my ribs. And she's wearing a wetsuit, so I couldn't see, but I was like, okay, maybe a surfboard hit her in the ribs, she's got dislocated ribs, or even punctured her lung, or the ribs come out there, I couldn't see. And I said, is there anything else that's happening? She's like, oh yeah, like I did hit my head on the sand as well. And I was like, right, don't worry about the ribs, let's treat this as a spinal. You might have spinal damage. I was quite happy leaving her on the water's edge, and I knew the tide was going out, but then a wave washed over her face. So it's the only thing you can do, you don't want to move someone, is get your hand and boom, cover their mouth and nose so that they don't take on water. And I called for backup and I got an ambulance. I was just going to grab her by the shoulders and keep her head in the same position and drag her straight out. It was good. I had a towel nearby and I had some warm water that I could put on to keep her warm, and the ambulance took her away. And normally we don't hear what happens when someone goes in an ambulance. We go back to work. We don't time out and go have a shower. We're straight back to watching the other people in the water. But she came back a week later. She'd been in hospital for 4 days and she had a broken C3. So she had a neck brace on and she lost the feeling down the left side of her body. So she was on crutches, and it was nice. She brought us some chocolates to say thank you. So it's touching to hear that. I don't have x-ray vision. I didn't know that, what was wrong with her, but I just gave her the best treatment that I could, and I'm glad that I was able to give her that treatment, and hopefully she'll recover from that. Yeah, and we got some chocolates.
your love language.
Exactly.
How did you know? How about you, Sybilla? Anything?
Probably the most negative thing has been one of my crew members committed suicide. Didn't see it coming. We chat every day. I could tell you everything about him. He had a sparkle in his eye. He was a very good firefighter, well respected, and I remember getting the phone call, and I think about him every single shift. Not sometimes it's a good way, sometimes it's a bad way, just because he's not there, and
you didn't see it.
And I just didn't see it coming. I had absolutely no idea that was something he was thinking about doing, and you rehash it and you think about what could I have done differently and how did I miss it and all that sort of stuff. So
and that's what hurt you as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, we're friends.
Well, exactly.
Talk to us about it.
Yeah. Why didn't he talk to me? Why didn't I'm here to help people and I miss that. And it. So it's that's really, really hard. But it sort of I just at the end of that I've made peace with myself from the point of view of there was nothing I could have done, and I know that there was scenarios in his personal life that were leading up to it that probably was the impact more than anything else, and there was choices that he made that maybe necessarily impacted it as well, but I just hope that it never happens again. But if the positive aspect, one of the things that has impacted me is just the attitude the community has. They're just, people wave at fire trucks. There's not many jobs where people do that. To put a smile on someone's face just simply because you're doing your job is unbelievable. It still really touches me when it's, even adults are waving and, and you can't help but give an enthusiastic wave back.
I'm a waver, you wave.
Everyone, it's just...
And when they would go to do community education classes in classrooms with little kids sitting there, these guys would look like absolute gods. The kids would look up like that, like, you're the hero that's going to save me. And that's why they do it, so that if there's a fire and they see someone in all this scary mask and outfit, go to these people, they're going to save you. But they'd be looking up at her saying,
who doesn't want to be a fire when they're a little kid, right?
And they do. They all come up to you and say, I want to be a fire. And you're like, good on you, it's the best job, you should. And they give you hugs and you want to hug them back, and it's just very, very rewarding and fulfilling from that point of view and that great satisfaction of just being able to help these people and these kids and kids particularly, and especially even when we get to help with special needs kids, and you're just like, just because you're there has made their day, and you're just like, so it's really, 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 really good from that point of view. So
wow. Excellent. Well, I think we can say for everyone that's probably listening, thank you so much. I mean, all the appreciation that you do get is well deserved. Thanks so much for coming in and sharing your stories, allowing us to get a bit real, and we've just, I know personally I've learnt so much, and I'm sure that for anyone that's interested in really pursuing an emergency services first responder career, this is going to be tremendously helpful for them, for really shedding light on all that it entails. And so thanks so much for coming on in.
For me, I mean, it's a great example of a pair working together really well, and it's great to see, and it's definitely inspiring for me, particularly from a career perspective as well, whether it be in your industry or anywhere else, is, do I love what I do? Just getting back to that simplicity of loving what I do, having a sense of significance in what you're doing and a sense of pride in what you're doing.
I think you don't have to be a superhero to do any of these jobs. You got to learn how to do all the things you need to do, but it's achievable for anyone, and you have an interest. Obviously follow your passion and work to your strengths, but we're just normal people doing a job that we've been trained for. Some of the things we do are higher than what's expected of just normal members of the public, but for us it's just common. run into a burning building if required, go into 6-foot surf and save someone. But this is well within our scope of the training, and we're comfortable doing it, and we love it. We obviously we're married, we got wedding rings, but when we go to work, we can't wear I don't like wearing mine in case I lose it in the water, and she didn't want hers to heat up in a fire, so we've got silicon grade rings, and they're engraved, and they say, love you, be safe, have fun. And each day when we go to work, we say that to each other just to remind ourselves the job we're doing and that we love each other.
That's a beautiful way to end.
Beautiful way to end. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again, guys. Great to have you in.
Thank you.